had you join me today because I'm super excited. Sissi Henley is joining me this morning, and I've known Sissi for a little bit. I know we talked previously when you worked to get your broker's license, and then you've had a fantastic food truck business.
I did.
And now you're here in the office running a business of transaction coordinating under an umbrella with Thomas.
I am.
Right?
I love it.
So I wanted you guys to meet Sissi and hear her story because I love the entrepreneurship that you bring to the table of running your own real estate business, and then the journey for the food truck business. I'm sure there was a lot to that. And then being plugged in here.
A lot.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about you. We want to know a little bit about you.
Okay. I grew up in, I grew up in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
And I moved to Crossville about an hour and a half from here, and was there for years and years, but I relocated to Chattanooga about 12 years ago. And I got my license, my real estate license, back in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And then just being bored during COVID, I decided to kind of do a little upgrading and got my broker's license. I didn't end up using it right away because I had an idea to have a food truck. It had been kind of in the back of my mind for a while, and I went to my mom and her husband, and I'm like, this is kind of what I want to do. And they're like, this would be fun, let's do it. So I did. I had that for 5 years. I did a waffle truck. It was a breakfast truck. Stayed super busy, but it kind of outgrew me because I did do most of the events by myself. So I sold it back in December. I actually set up at one of your events for the Halloween.
Yeah. Our fall festival.
Yeah, your fall festival. Sorry. Yeah. And so I talked to Jay, and I'm like, find me something to do. And he's like, I've got the perfect thing. So we kind of talked. I sold the truck in December and kind of working everything through, and here I am. I love it.
Well, your business scaled, and I remember having one of your waffles at that event. It was so good. It was so good. And as you went through that in between that, when we met, you were working on the broker's license, and you were thinking about activating that. And then you also did some timeshare for a little bit. So tell us about that.
I did timeshare. I actually got my real estate license, like I said, in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
The day I got it, I was celebrating, and a friend of mine worked at a timeshare company in Fairfield, in Crossville. And he's like, come to work for us. I'm like, I'm not going to go work for timeshare. I just want to flip houses. That's why I got it, was to flip houses. And so he talked me into it, and literally it was life-changing. I loved every aspect about it. I know timeshare, some people have feelings about it, but if you know what you're doing, it can be so beneficial to your family to take those trips. And yes, it does kind of push you to take those trips since it is paid for. But I was there for a little over 6 years, and I was a manager the last 5 years, so I did a lot of the behind the scenes and the paperwork, the closing process. So that's kind of where I got my love for the paperwork.
Okay.
And then when I moved here, I actually went to work for Mercedes. I was their finance manager for several years. Again, the document end of it and the closing and contractual paperwork, I just love that. I'm very detail oriented, so it's kind of right up my alley.
But even though you've got that detail oriented, you found kind of that niche that you love, that you feel like you're natural. I see also a driver in you. So you've got both of those as a talent, because you went out there, you did the food truck, you put that together. So you have that business owner mentality, and you're also good at the behind the scene things. So not everyone has both of those.
I enjoy it. I like to stay busy.
Yeah.
I don't like to sit around in my office when I'm caught up with everything. I'm walking the halls.
She is. She comes down and she catches hands. But you know what? Let's talk about that drive to build the business, because even though you're doing transaction coordinating, so what you do here at the office, you've got an office in the office, and you are that leverage piece. You take it off the plate of our agents for them to, once they have the contract, to take it to the closing. and make sure it was all put together, so they don't have to worry about that.
And that, a lot of people, if you are in the middle of a transaction, you're like, oh, well, she's just going to do this or she's just going to do that. I don't think, I even spoke with one of the brokers here, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you did that. So it is a start to finish. It is getting in touch with the lenders, making sure everything's on time with that, getting in touch with title, making sure those, everything is covered
Right.
with title. And those are a lot of back and forth. I know at the meeting a while back, I was saying an average, just an average, and this is without the text between me and all the agents, but an average is about 38 to 40 times that you're hitting some kind of communication.
Okay.
Whether it's an email or a phone call, or like I said, that is regardless with the text, but it is just time consuming. And even if it doesn't take a lot of time, it takes a lot of attention away from what your train of thought was at that moment.
Right.
So that's what I try to do, because, I can have, I've had 25 deals going at one time and don't have anything to do, because I set my processes and I trust that. And so, I can make sure everything's on track. And it sounds like a lot to people. They're like, well, you don't need, I'm going to get lost. But it's not like that, because it's my job. And I'm good at this part of it. So, I am glad that I have found this, because it is something that is just, it's something that fits right into my personality and what I'm able to do.
Well, and I think all the things, like from going to, like, you've been in the sales piece, you've been in the financial part of,
Which
I
I
mean,
love.
it was cars, but and
I love
it's
the
the
number
same.
part, yeah.
So you understand what the agents need, because
Absolutely.
you've been in that seat.
Absolutely.
And you are a driver, and you have a sense of urgency. And I've seen that when you came in because you have to be able to do contract to close for agents to make money, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's no
Absolutely.
different from the agents going out and finding buyers and sellers. And you came in, and I see you marketing. I see you having conversations. You're doing all of the things, and you impressed us
Oh.
when you came in. Because you didn't wait for it to come to you. You went out and got it.
No, I like I said, I walk the halls a lot.
Yeah.
I do a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, trying to recruit agents that I see not only are thriving, but I get a lot of the newer ones that are like, hand holding, which is amazing, because it's better to learn it right the first time than having to do, a few and kind of, having those little hiccups along the way. But, yeah, something you said, it is something that you do have to take control over. And obviously with an agent, anything contractual, you'll think it's just a piece of paper, but every single piece of paper is important. Every signature is important, every timeline, every deadline.
Exactly.
The deadline's what everybody panics about, but I've never missed a deadline, so.
Okay, you heard that. So
I won't miss a deadline.
if you're watching right now, and I know there's several people that are using you as and just singing your praises from the
I have some
mountaintop,
amazingly great
because it helps them to
agents,
go
yeah.
they get more business, because they know, they trust that you've got that, and they don't feel uncomfortable
The
with you
biggest
taking
thing
it.
is taking something off your plate that's time consuming, that is no longer generating you revenue. So what I'm doing would not be generating them revenue. They need to go on to the next thing,
Right.
or family time. That's super important. So it is kind of balancing, where do you want to spend your time? So the paperwork part of it for most people is a time consuming thing.
Well, I love that you are going and you're making the calls to lenders and title, because I know I found in sales, you can assume that all things are going well, and possibly whatever entity that you're working with may not call and say,
Right.
we've never gotten this from the other side,
Right.
or we're missing this piece.
And I did run into, and that's a great example. I did run into something like that here recently, that it was a communication issue, And I'm like, you know what, this is covered. I should have, let sure you knew this is covered. But it's like making sure that the lenders are all on the same page with, any of the documents that are updated. Because just because you reach out once and you say, here's where we're at, I think a lot of people think from contract to close, I'm just getting your paperwork into compliance.
Okay.
And that's not what this is. This is taking it, this is, like I said, reaching out, communicating with the lenders and title and making sure that they have what they need. And if there's any updates, making sure that they have those. So it is anything that you would typically do after you've signed a contract.
So it's not just saying, oh, there's 12 pages. Let me make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is in order and put into command. It's
And that's what I said.
everything.
That was my bad, not helping someone understand that, you don't have to do this because, I'm getting emails copied saying, are we on track for this? And I'm like, oh, sorry, that would be something that I would love to do if you're comfortable with that. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you did that.
Okay.
So, yeah, it is. It is a lot of communication. I am a people person, so, I don't mind reaching out. I don't mind, talking on the phone or emails. I have my telephone number or my email on my door. I'm kind of open for whenever anybody needs me.
Where do you see, it sounds like agents not understanding all the pieces from contract to close is one thing. What else do you see in an agent's world that is their biggest obstacle right now? Is there anything that you see in paperwork? Because you get to see all the paperwork that's coming in.
There are some challenging, whether it's language barrier or the older clients are still needing, wet signatures instead of, e-signing anything. But I have been so fortunate with the agents that I am working with on a regular basis that they've got their systems down also, which is super important. The new ones, I always say, the least you have to ask for a signature if you just get it all up front. Everything is, they're more reassured that you know what you're doing.
Yes.
So, for the newer ones coming on, it's like, make sure you have your checklist of what you need to get your signatures on so that you don't have to go back, oh, this is this, and start explaining again, and this is that, because that just kind of maybe opens up for people to go, how many more documents do I have to sign?
Like where we're,
But when you're already in that signing mode, it's way smoother and way easier to get those signed at that time.
So you have a wide variety of agents using your services, from top producers in the office to brand new agents deciding, I'm going to start leveraging at the start.
Yeah. And that's what, I think that's what the office has been great about, is when they do have the new hires, I'm immediately introduced and I explain, what it is that I do. And they're at that point kind of so unsure about making a mistake.
Right.
That, that is something they're like, absolutely, we'd love to do this. And it isn't something that, there are going to be agents that will use me the once. We do have the free option for your first transaction is free. I'd welcome those, because even if I'm the one doing it, they might learn something, and then, they're more comfortable, if they do decide to go out on their own and do it.
I like that, because that's a little bit of our culture and our vibe. It sounds like, that collaborative, let me help you, that spirit of we're here to achieve excellence, and I can help you do that.
Yeah, I sat with a new agent the other day, and I'm like, it might be something that there are a lot of different personalities in real estate.
Yes.
There are a lot of, from the top of the control to here you do it.
Right.
And so it is learning each agent's preferences, because, some agents are like, copying me on every single email, any kind of communication, let me know everything. And then there are some that are like, tell me when we're closing. And I don't like or dislike any of that process. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But I have been it has been nice for me to have several go, I trust you, you know what you're doing. So, that's a rewarding part of my end to where, it's like we're all on track, everything's great.
It becomes a partnership and a trusted advocate.
Absolutely.
So it's a way for agents to build their leverage piece, even those that aren't forming teams or groups, to be able to have you take that piece off the plate and go
one
find
thing about-
productive activity.
Yeah, when you said team, I just feel like I'm on so many,
Yeah.
little teams, and I haven't had like a lot of, I've said I'm building my village finally here in Chattanooga because, I have a lot of extended family here, but as in friends of my own, I'm not the person that'll just go out and find a friend. I've got my few that are my dearest, but this has been so nice because a couple of the other jobs, I might not have wanted to be friends with a lot of them, but everybody here, I haven't come across anybody where I haven't gone, I love you, you're amazing. So that's
we
been
love
that's
having
been a
you.
great part of it.
Well, I know one thing you mentioned a minute ago was you mentioned that your services help agents be able to go do the dollar productive things.
Absolutely.
But you also said that it also can give them some time back, because we know that most people either need to level up with their volume or they want more of their time back.
Right.
And I know that's important to you. Family, I've seen family be very important to
No,
you.
absolutely. And this has, I don't have to be in the office. What I do is all behind the scenes. And, there are days I'll come in and it's not like I don't talk to anybody because I always, like I said, walk the halls, see everybody and mingle. But in reality, I can do everything remote. And that was by choice because, there are times when, I'm not going to want to be here. But just because I'm not here doesn't mean I'm not working. Because, I was up until 10:39 last night trying to get a document in before deadline. So, it is something though that has given me at least the mental ability to know that I can, I have a daughter that lives in LA. If I need to go to LA for a week, I'm just going to be up really early out there.
Yeah, it's a different time zone.
Yeah.
You are.
I know. But no, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very, very, very pleased with how everything has fallen into place. And it's not without hard work. I'm not saying that, I don't want everybody to think, well, that's easy. It is a lot of work, and it's a lot of just trying to sort everything out and time management and everything. But again, it's something that fits my, kind of personality. I like it.
So it's and I've heard you say that you've got systems set up.
I do. So
You
many.
had to with the food truck also, I'm
did.
sure, getting all of that
did.
together, and running that business at a high level, and being able to sell that business was phenomenal also. And so I heard you also say agents may suppose that you've got too many clients, but you don't, because you have systems in place.
I
And
do.
that's what they have to do in their business also, and they can leverage your system and your hub
Absolutely.
to make that work.
I'm at about half capacity right now, and I know that sounds kind of odd because, like I said, I don't know, I got like 4 or 5 new this weekend from open houses, but, I can definitely handle more. And the biggest part is, and I have made that very, I'm adamant about this part on me, I will only take on what I can handle at 100%. If I feel like, okay, I'm about done, somebody comes and says, hey, will you take this? I am fully prepared to say no because I don't want anybody to not get 100%.
And that's where the scaling comes in, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me about, you found some clients at open house. Tell me about that.
Well, a lot of my agents right now had a lot of offers on open houses.
Okay. Oh, really?
So, yeah, so I'm ready to, I'm ready to start getting back in the office.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And when you said processes, one of my agents, she's so funny, but I showed her on my phone from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. every hour on the hours and alarm. So, and those are for different reasons, but every hour on the hour, I'm reminded of something.
So you've got
and
a
that's
lot of
set every day.
notifications.
Yeah.
And you're able to design your day. You're
Yeah.
able to enjoy your family, your grandchildren,
I love it.
living some life
Yeah.
and by design. And because I know that I felt like that thing just, from knowing you back when COVID happened,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah.
connected then. That was something that was very important to you to protect,
It was.
which you're helping the agents protect that also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I was in finance, it was probably my largest financial years of any of my work. But I was working 9 to 9, 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I would get off an extra day, at the end of every month, or at the beginning of every month after the end of the month. And I mean, I was walking out of the house at 8:30 and walking back in at 9 o'clock, going straight to bed, not eating. It's like, what are you working for? I have all this money, but I have zero time to
Yeah.
do anything. And at that point, I decided, because that was when my daughter had her baby, I'm like, this amount of money isn't worth what I'm sacrificing. So
Mhm.
that's when I started kind of backing up and tailoring. What am I going to do to make enough money to live comfortably and still balance that life? And coming into real estate for an agent, it is an ideal setup.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, because it is if you use your time management right.
Time management and
So hard.
systems.
So hard, yeah.
Well, you do make it look easy. You
Oh.
do lead with, and we were impressed because you were here. You had presence in the office. Agents could see you and meet you.
Mhm.
And even after you've gotten some momentum, you've not changed that
No.
style about yourself. You didn't just do that initially to grab a few people and then disappear.
No.
So,
I
you know,
love the interaction
yeah.
here. And I'm here most every day. I literally walked out to move my car, and I came back in. This was like Thursday. I came back in, and they're like, oh, there was an agent that was trying to get you. And I'm like, I was gone 5 minutes, and I've been here all day. But no, I like meeting them, just because I think a little one-on-one with an agent, I can get a feel for their personality
Mhm.
and kind of pretty much right off understand what their needs are going to be,
Yeah.
and their communication style. So yeah, I love meeting them.
So you have to, a little bit of the disc profile, a little bit of the personality profile of, are they going to be in extreme control over everything, or are they going to be over here and you're like, did you
And
did you get it?
I agree with that. I even had an agent when I text. I said, "Oh, I got the signatures from blah blah blah," and they're like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "No, that's your sellers."
Who did that?
And all I got back was, "I'm so grateful for you."
Doesn't that make you feel
I know,
good?
it was funny. But and understand that I'm a type A personality. I like to be in control.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with the agents that are like that. I get it.
Yeah.
And again, it's just making notations on everybody's file. This is the communication style they like.
Right.
Or this is how many times they want to see it. I want to try to limit the amount of emails everybody gets. Everybody is just inundated with emails. So, I hate to put somebody on a email that says, "Hey, can we scoot back 30 minutes?"
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that, in my mind, you really don't need to know.
Mhm.
But if you need to know it, I'll put you on it,
Yeah.
because it is more like a paper trail for them to be able to say, where did this change, so I get it,
But you're trying to eliminate, well, just like with buyers and sellers, with the problems that are happening in a transaction, we try not to stress them out if it's something that we can take care of on the back end. And yet there are some clients that want to know all the things and be in the details of that.
It's funny
Yeah.
because the amount of, and it really doesn't even have to do with like the size of the house or the purchase price. My least amount of communication was on $1 million house, and
Yeah.
I actually went back and forth just like 11 times. It was a cash deal, no contingencies, no inspection. They just wanted the house. So, that was quick and easy. And then I have one right now that's barely 200,000, and I'm in the 80s on how many times we've had to do stuff again, but it's a first-time buyer, you
Mhm.
know, and it's something that they're unsure about, and not unsure about the house, they don't know the processes.
Right.
So, that's when you got to hold a hand a little longer,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
Well, I mean, if you guys heard her, I've heard her several times talk about the communication numbers. Like you track all of the
Oh,
things through the contract. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see, especially what I use. I mean, I can see every single time I've communicated with them on any of the platforms, because I've had, some people use Dotloop, some people use DocuSign.
Okay, yeah.
I'm having to go through, the different platforms, but it's pretty amazing how much. And again, it might be a quick, hey, let's do, or here's this amendment, or here's that. It's not, it is the time, but it is taking you out of that concentration stream of whatever it is you're doing at that point, whether it's family or whether it's a different transaction. It's just taking that attention away from what you were doing and, interrupting them.
Mm-hmm. Like the one thing book, it says you can't, if you chase two rabbits, you're not going to catch either of them. Right.
Exactly.
Well, you guys, if you've not had a chance to have a conversation with Sissi Henley, you owe it to yourself and your business to do so. You've heard that she really has attention to detail. She's professional. She's a driver. She doesn't mind having the communication, and she loves being able to assist you to shine. She just think of her as the behind the scenes. She's shining you so you can stand in the spotlight when you're working with buyers and sellers, and with a broker license behind her, right? For sure.
I love that part.
So I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Thank you.
I can't deny that I do miss your opportunity to do waffles, but I know you can still make them. Anyway,
We'll have to do that one day here. You
Yeah.
pull out all the waffle irons.
You guys can thank me when she does. Anyway, they're so good. And really seriously, guys, if in the comments, if you are using Sissi right now, drop a heart, give us a shout, a recommendation, because we are just super excited to have her here as a leverage piece for you guys, and it's worth your time for sure.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Y'all,
you.
happy Monday.